You know I'm a hustler, hustler. You know I'm a hustler, hustler.
Welcome to Get Biz, Do Biz, Get Paid. I am your host, Luan Dadon. In this show, we're going to interview successful business owners in construction and construction coaches. We're going to find out what it really takes to win in the construction industry. What it really takes to make a lot of money, have a great life, and be able to do the thing that you wanted to do. Enjoy. Hey, back again with another special episode. Today I have my good friend, my buddy, my brothers, my coach, my advisor. He's a lot of things, but which we're going to talk about here today. Welcome to the show, the one and only Brian Diamonds.
What's up, man? I'm excited. This is a long time coming. I've been waiting for this. We
Have
were
you?
talking about this back in 2021. Here we are,
man.
right?
Be like, what would have happened if we get two chair and a table and just fucking talk shit?
That's right. 2 years ago, right? Would have been on
Right.
episode 3500 by now, right?
So Brian, give me a minute or two overview of who you are, what you do, so the audience can get a little bit more context.
Yeah, so I'm the
conversation.
CEO and founder of the Contractor Life Academy. At one point previously, I have been in the home improvement industry for over 20 years. My folks growing up both had home improvement companies on and off, somewhat successful, somewhat not. So I got an intro to the industry early. Ended up working for some larger multi-state national companies, and then started my own in 2014. Turned that into an exteriors company, opened up a bath conversion company, sold one of them, and now strictly focus on just helping contractors do the thing.
So how did you get into working with a company like that? Was it your choice or was it somebody else's choice?
You're talking about the larger home improvement company?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was actually consulting for smaller home improvement companies regionally, helping them with marketing, sending up canvassing, call centers, flyer crews, etc. And I heard that there was a large company moving into town, and a guy that I was working with decided that he was actually going to shut his company down and go work for them. And that was a guy that was a potential client. So I went with him just to check him out. And as I started talking with them, I looked at really a consulting opportunity. How can I help these guys get a foothold in the market? And they said, you know what? Why don't you come sell with us for a little bit and check that out and see what our company is about and get a better understanding, and then we can talk. And at the time, I was kind of over the consulting thing. Again, it's just a lot of client acquisition and trying to work with smaller companies. That's always challenging, and it was something new for me anyway. So I went into the sales side of it, and that turned into me working for them for 8 years. So literally just walked in, got a sales job, and went from there.
Well, this is a nice segue into so oh, correct me if I'm wrong. You already had somewhat of a skill before, a skill set before you go into this company, and you started as a sales guy, and then just become uh, a sales manager or a VP of sales, or what?
Yeah. So I came in, I had been working with the smaller companies, so I understood kind of the microcosm of how all the different parts and components of the business worked. So actually the sales part of it was kind of interesting to me, because at that point I knew all I had to do was just show up, sell the job, and earn my commission. So it was almost a little bit of a break, really, in what I was previously doing. So coming in, one thing that if people haven't worked with a big national company, and maybe you have some, they're in your particular market, if you're watching this, they have a very dedicated sales system. It's very streamlined. There's a process. They know how to scale that process across multiple sales reps. So when I came in, they had a really good training program and got me stood up pretty quick. And we were just a small office. It was a new market for that company. And I was one of the first guys that was operating in that office on the sales side of it. I think we started off with about 4 guys ultimately. Eventually, I became a sales manager here locally, and then they tasked me with opening up other markets. And at one point, had close to 40 sales guys that I was overseeing, using a very similar process. We kind of morphed it up a little bit to work for our market, but yeah, that was kind of the journey. Learn their process and then changed it up a little bit and scaled and grew up their Midwest division basically. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I hear repeatedly uh, the big player always have a process, and
Mm.
in our industry where client acquisition is a big, it's basically whole business,
Yeah. Oh, for
right?
sure.
Right. So how has learning in that environment help you in what you do today?
I going into that larger organization, they had some amazing leaders, man. They had some really, really strong leadership. And that was something that I really worked hard to replicate in my own organization. And one thing that I found, you can have all the processes in the world, but if you don't have a strong culture and you don't have core values that everybody is aware of and those core values are being lived out, you don't have a strong leader in the individual departments and just as a company in general, you can have all the processes, but you have to have people to execute them. The one thing that the larger national companies had, I worked for two of them, one American Exteriors and then Champion Windows as well. One of the things that they had was they understood the importance of everybody being on the same page and
Mm,
everybody operating consistently under one guideline,
mm,
because then you can start to vet out and understand the people component. Who are the real kind of players in your organization? You know what I mean? Because if you don't have any processes, you don't know how to gauge anybody's output. You don't know how to gauge whether they're on the ball or off. You have no idea. But if you can get everybody operating under the same construct, those people that don't belong there, they are exposed very quickly. And that's one thing I found out about kind of that system process component of the bigger companies for sure.
so you went from working on that company, now you helping contractor. You one of the nicest guy I ever met, like one of the brightest, smartest guys too. And I mean, I got a big ego, right? So but I've been humble many times by Brian Diamonds. Uh things that,
I don't know about that. You're talking trash now is what you're doing.
uh but uh but basically, why help contractor, man? Why help a little guy? There's a big market out there for with your expertise. I'm gonna shoot the audience right. With his expertise, you can go into a $50 million organization and scale them up to 100. Take a couple mil and dip.
Yeah.
Why don't you do that? Why us little guy?
I was at an event, um I think it was late last year in Las Vegas, and I had ran into a guy that I haven't seen in probably 4 years maybe. And so to him, the Contractor Life Academy is a new thing. And so we had a chance to chop it up a little bit. And when I ran into him, I think his company was doing about 15 million, maybe more, maybe 18. It's really solid net profit. And his company today is probably closer to 100. And so we just talked about that growth trajectory, right? What he's been doing. And it was a really cool story. And he stopped and I told him what I was doing. And the whole time he was kind of giving me this look, right? He kind of cocked his head and he was looking at me. And he said, bro, what the hell are you doing? And I said, what do you mean? He says, you're an idiot. What are you doing? And I said, I don't get it. What are you talking about? He said, why are you spending your time jacking around helping these guys grow their individual? You could have $100 million company. Like, I don't understand it. It just makes no sense to me. And I said, I get it, man. And I've thought about, believe me, like trust. Like, I've thought about that a lot. And I said, there's two things. Number one is there's going to be a time where I'm not here anymore. And there's going to be a bunch of people, hopefully, that are going to hear that I'm not around. And my fear is that when it comes time for my family to come have a seat for this wake or whatever it is, this service, the biggest fear that I have is that I would be hovering above that service and there's nobody in the seats. Like, I didn't have an impact on anybody. I totally wasted my entire time here. Like, that'd be such a travesty, bro. Like, that would be the biggest failure. When we talk about regret, like people, what regret would you? That would be one of my biggest regrets. I didn't make use of my time. And so I think about like, what do I have to contribute though? Like, really, what is that? Like, if you think of like, if you just sat for a second and just hit pause and go, what do I have? What do I really have to contribute? And that'll really put you in a different kind of mindset. And one is like, I know I'm really good at this, right? At helping people turn their businesses into something that can create a great lifestyle while they are here, and then also legacy for their families when they're not. And so why wouldn't I do that at a great scale for myself? The reason, number one, is we don't really desire for much. And I think that's because our joy isn't built around things. You know what I mean? You've given me crap for a long time, bro. You need to fall out a little bit, man. You need to floss a little bit. You need to show up a little bit, right? You do all the time, bro. And but that's just not me. And so I don't need $100 million or $10 million a year, outside of the fact you could just do a lot of cool stuff and help a lot of people, right? I mean, there's always that upside. The other side of it is and so I told him, I said, what's cool, man, is that you're going to be able to stand at the top of the mountain, man, and fly that flag, right? I built $100 million company out of it, and there's a lot of guys that you and I both know that have done the same thing. But man, wouldn't it be so much cooler, man, to stop at the top, be at the top of a whole bunch of people, bro? Like, even if maybe like you're at the top and we're at that next little mountain down, and we're like, yo, like, you're going to be up top waving your flag and we'll celebrate you. But man, there's going to be a whole lot of people celebrating at the top of the hill I'm on.
That's
And
facts.
I think that's so much better, man. Like, I would love that more than anything. I read a book one time, and I think I wish I had it laying around. But it was written by a guy that had, 9-figure wealth. Man, this guy was really doing well. And he was writing a book about his journey. And the book was really good. And I got all the way to the end of the book. This is literally the last page. Like, we're like, how is this dude going to wrap this book up? And it was something like, I'm sitting here at the top of this mountain on an island that I own, drinking one of the finest bottles of wine, smoking one of the rarest cigars on the planet, looking at a view that, no other eyes get a chance to see but my own. And he goes, and I'm sad and I'm lonely. And I think about all the people that I had to step on along the way, all the relationships that were broken, all the businesses that I had to acquire and fold up and send everybody home packing so that I could sit here by myself, enjoying all of these joys and wonders of the world, but nobody to share it with. And so he says, even though, as you've been reading this book, I may be the richest man that you may have encountered or you may have the pleasure of hearing from, um, you're most likely much wealthier than I am. That was the end of the book, bro. That was it. And like,
Bars.
man, I read that book probably 20 years ago, and it still sticks with me. And I just don't want that to be me. And so I have a heart, man, that I don't think that people know what's possible. Like they're sitting on a business right now, and I don't think that they understand that they're making $80,000 a year. They're working 40 hours a week. They're on the tools. They're working 60 hours a week and maybe making $120. They think they've got a business going on, and what they did is created a job that has some flexibility and maybe a little better pay. But what I don't know that they get is that they can build a company that can give them a lifestyle that they never probably dreamed of. and they can create legacy wealth so their kids will never have to worry about, or they, as the owner, will never have to worry about what happens to their family when they're not here anymore. And it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be $100 million company. And so if I can help guys get over that hump and come to that realization and be a part of that journey, bro, I'm the wealthiest guy on the planet, man. I'll tell you that.
Wow, man, that's a great mission
I
because
think so.
like I say, money at a certain point in time, man, like even with
Don't get me wrong,
inflation,
bro. Like I like some cash. Like
e- e- even with
you
even
and I
with
have been together. We've burned through some cash. You know what I mean? We've had a good time.
yeah, but after a certain point in time, like at 500 500,000 a year. What else you gonna do? Now you got a new
Mm,
problem, right? How can I hide this money from the
right,
3-digit organization that we all know and love, you know? So
man.
the
Bro, we've
the
had a lot and we've had a little, and no matter what, we figure out a way for it to, you know what I mean? It goes
yeah,
somewhere.
yep,
You
yep.
know?
So so I have made $5, what, 6.25 an hour before, and I have made $600 an hour before.
Mm,
Nothing changed. You still same motherfucker with the same bullshit, right?
with that.
Um, so that's a great mission, man, because I think construction business owner or small business owner are sitting on the gold mine
Oh, for sure. 100%.
that that uh that they don't think that it's possible. But I mean, I'm not from construction. I came in and I see money everywhere.
Mm. That's one thing. If when I looked back on like previous messages from you and I in the early days when we first started talking and hanging out, there was a a tipping point, right? There was a point where you were like, yo, like this, wait a minute, I get the game now. Like I get it. And it is wide open. There ain't no competition around here. There is ample opportunity to win. Like I just got goosebumps, bro, talking about it.
Right,
I remember
right.
those messages that you and I were sharing back and forth, and it was interesting to see from like 2020 to 2021. There's a vibe that changed, and it was just like you were on fire, man. Just you're after it, and that's all we need, right? I was talking to guys that do roll ups and acquisitions, and consistently, no matter how many I talk to, they always come back to the owner, right? The separator, the differentiator between all these guys got processes and all these guys got good leadership and all these guys got, is that if that owner, man, has a fire underneath him that he can transfer down to the rest of the team, it's game over, man. Game over. And you've had that consistently for sure.
Yeah, so that's so interesting to see it from another perspective, because a lot of people that I've spoken to fall into two camp, right? Either they see what come to me at natural, because I'm like I just do it every day. I don't even know that I'm doing it. But the other camp is like, what secret you got?
Right.
What's the sauce, bro?
What's the sauce,
What's
man?
the sauce? The sauce. Well, let's see. Let's count back to, well, I was raised in a good family. And I was raised in Vietnamese communist regime. So it kind of affect me a little bit, right?
Mm.
And I don't know, I just have good genes. And then good people want to come work for me and help me out. I don't know what to tell you. Look around me.
Yeah, I think the chain a component of that is a gatherer of people,
Yeah,
right? That's
I would think so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think someone has to have an ability. There's a time when I had a guy on my team, and his responsibility was building out canvassing teams. And within his department, that guy could acquire people quickly. He could bring them on and he could get them folded into the group like nobody I've ever seen. Sometimes when you're coming into a new organization, you're kind of an outsider a little bit. You're trying to find your people and trying to find your spot. But he was really good, man, at doing that. And so I asked him about that one time and he said, well, every team needs different types of people. You need the cheerleader, somebody who's going to continue to like cheer everybody on, right? And just encourage them. And then you need a counselor that when you see somebody that's going through something, you can pull them aside and have a conversation. And then you need kind of that accountability dude. You need the guy that's going to be like, hey, get your crap together, man up and let's make this happen. Kind of like sergeant in arms in a way, right? And he just talked to me about all these different components of a team that you need to have. And I definitely think there's a component of having somebody on your team that is the one that brings everybody together under kind of this unified mission, right? And does so in a way that everybody's excited to come to work every day because they want to be supportive, they want to be part of that team and part of that mission. Um, and I think, watching you, that's one of the things you've always been good at. Right? That's kind of a natural thing that you do. Anytime I've come over, it's community. Got your homies, got your people. And when somebody can hack that, it doesn't matter how much of a crap show you got going on as a company. If you've got people that are willing to back you up and just want to be part of that crew, they'll go through anything with you. Like they'll make the company work. It's going to work out. But if you don't have that, it doesn't matter how good your systems and processes are and how much you're paying them and how much they desire. People, man, they'll jump off that boat faster than anything. So that's a big piece. I think you've got that part figured out for sure.
Yeah, so it's you would say relationship building is one of the master skill, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
if you can build relationship, and this is how I think of it. If you can build relationship, you can get other people to do shit for you. That's in the simplest term, but like if you want to put it in fancy ways, if you can build a relationship, you can transfer that vision, transfer that mission, transfer that conviction, and delegate stuff more efficiently because now people are more bought into who you are as a person. And what that's one of my biggest realization a few years back is I need more people. I just can't do this by myself. And I need more people. I need people that love what I hate doing. And and throughout and I believe that I can find people that align with my core value. And so that's what I did, man. I just, go out and find people. And and people ask me what the secret is. There's really no secret. You do it, you fail, you do it again, fail, you do it again, and you do it until, oh God, where you been?
Yeah.
Where you been? And then, you keep going because the thing is, what I've seen a lot in the construction industry, especially young construction industry, is they don't analyze a mistake or not even a
Mm-hmm.
mistake. Just it's just bullshit that happened in the construction industry. It's just people and process, right? It's always revolved out people and process. And I want y'all to realize no matter what level you at, you always have problem with people. You always have problem with process. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's it's the business, right? So it's almost like it's the mindset shift that need to happen is like realizing that you're gonna get punched and keep going.
There's a one-on-one call I had with a guy. He was meeting with one of our coaches on Friday in their mastermind, and then on the off weeks we do one-on-ones. And he hit me up and he's like, "Bro, he's like, I got a situation, man. I really need to talk to you. I know it's an off week, but I like, can I get on a call?" So I was like, "Yeah, man, just tomorrow morning, let's do it." So we got on a call and he was laying out not only this kind of big challenge that he had, but all these little things that were happening. Well, and then this happened, and then this happened, and this was going on, and then we got this thing over here. And he got done, and I said, is that pretty much, is that everything?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Bro, you're crushing it." I'm like, you're crushing it. Oh, that's amazing. You're doing great, man. And he's like, what are you talking about? Did you just hear anything I said? And I said, yeah, I heard all of it. And just the fact that one, you're able to articulate it. Two, you know what the problems are. You've talked about some solutions that you tried that necessarily didn't work out. That is a totally different conversation than you and I would have had this time last year. Right? Just the fact that you're sitting down and then trying to analyze kind of what's going on and then coming up with solutions is phenomenal. And number two, bro, this is what you signed up for. Like, this is just the natural progression of growth. Anything you talked about was going to happen at some point. It is a non-negotiable. You are going to go through every single one of those things you talked about. The problem is you've got this big thing that got you fired up, and then you started noticing. You ever go to a homeowner and there's one little thing, man, just one little piece of that job that didn't go right, and they nitpick the entire freaking thing, and now all of a sudden they ain't giving you the last check, and it's a big crap show, and they're calling the inspector and calling the BBB, and it was literally like a nail, or you know what I mean, some little stupid thing. That's the same thing we do as contractors. We either one degree or the other. Either we don't pay attention to anything that's going on, and it's a complete crap show, or everything's a disaster. But it's not. It's just the natural progression of figuring it out. And so I told him, I'm like, bro, you're crushing. What you know what this means? You're going in the right direction, and you're growing, and you're getting better, and you're pressing into your team, and you're pressing against certain processes you had that were good then, but they're not serving you now. So keep at it, man. Problem solution. Just knock them down one at a time. And I think what happens is we have these big piles of crap, and that smelly, stinky, we want to get rid of it. And so we laser focus on it, and we just start shoveling until it disappears. And I'm like, bro, the reality is, this is kind of how I described it to him. I'm like, bro, you've taken all these things and you've piled up into one big lump, and now everything's a mess. Right? I'm like, one shovel at a time, homie. Just take one shovel at a time. And pretty soon you're going to turn around and all of it's going to be fixed, and it's going to be cleaned up, and it's going to be roses and potpourri, and you're going to be fine. And he's like, yeah, you're right. And that was it. We didn't have to really dig into all these constructs of solutions and things. But I do think you have to have an element of analysis. You do have to take the time to say, what was that? Why did that happen? Is there something we really need to be paying attention to, or was it like a one-off? If it's a one-off, keep moving. But if it's a theme, go fix it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't say that I like solving problem, but I know it's gonna come. I'm
Yeah.
prepared for it. Um, and I think it's when you're unprepared, is something gonna hit you out the left field. Then it's like, oh my God, you know.
You're
But
going to get
when
rocked. That's for sure.
you know, but when you, I mean, it happened to me a few times. Like workman comp audit twice, 2 times in a year, because they say our growth is never seen before. So they try to get a little bit of cheese, and there
Yeah,
was a
trying to get it
little.
up front, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, nah, man. Like, talk to my lawyer. I don't think what you guys doing is fair. But like, if I'm not prepared to do that, and that is the shit that's gonna happen. Like, it's not
Mm-hmm.
like the bigger you, the bigger you go, the problem is gonna be bigger, bigger magnitude,
But
bigger,
the impact's smaller though. You know
huh?
what I mean?
The impact, it might be smaller, but the problem is still gonna be there for you.
Mm-hmm.
But once you get bigger, then there's other people out there to solve the problem for you. I feel like.
I think that's it, right? One of the
Yeah.
things when you talk about that work comp audit, I mean, we've had the same thing. I've had $250,000 tax bills show up out of the blue. What are we gonna do with this thing? And so it's the ability to not lose your crap because you're in a position to be able to absorb that. Big wave comes, it ain't gonna tip the ship. So, when that shows up, it's like, okay, yeah, I've heard guys getting their bank accounts drained off of work comp audits. Yeah, I mean, just all kinds of stuff, bro. But it's like, all right, well, that's fine. You know what I mean? I'm going to navigate that and I'll come out the other side of it. And we have the cash, we have some in reserve. We're in a position that when the storm comes, it's not as devastating. And I think that's the important thing is to put your company in a position, put your people in a position to be able to weather that stuff. That's why I always like, me, man. I've always been a process guy from day one. You're telling me to floss, I'm telling you to build out SOPs. And that's because when the hurricane comes, like you already got the plan, not a big deal. And you look across the street, your neighbor's running around, trying to run around with that big piece of plywood and getting blown off his feet. Like we ain't got to deal with that crap. So that's why I like kind of a process driven infrastructure,
You know, well, who you remind me of? Like,
Who's that?
have you ever read Noah Ark? You building an ark,
Oh, bro.
an ark. So then when the storm come, shit,
Yeah.
be like, God damn, I got all my animals in here. I got all my SOP in here.
This dude, man, I wish God would just send me a little message. Yeah, exactly. If he could just tell me when the storm's coming and I could build my little ark ahead of time and get all my little people and all my food. Yeah, that'd be amazing. That'd be great. Right.
Uh, but so one, I'm in a lot of mastermind, talk to a lot of contractor, and one of the thing that the little guy under 5 million struggle with is sales, sales.
That's a fact.
I'm not getting enough leads. I'm not getting enough. I can't sell for my price. Too expensive. What are the funny stuff that people say? Um, oh, well, my competitor are all charging this price. How can I charge more? Another one. I don't really have a sale process. They call me, I give them a price over the phone. If they don't like it, I move on.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started on stuff like that.
And then the inability to generate a lead on their own, and the inability to convert all the lead that they already getting. So what do you think is the solution to that, and how would one even start?
Yeah. So when I think about taking one of the things we do is when guys come into the Contractor Life Academy is we create this path for them. So where do you want to be at the end of 2024? Let's talk about a path to get there. And no matter what, especially early stage, there's always the things you do. You look at their financials, you build some foundational stuff into their business that they're missing to be able to accommodate the growth that's coming. And so that's kind of how you start in the beginning. And, we had a pretty straightforward process on that. And eventually what happens is you say, okay, like these guys are bolstered up enough that now we can start talking about sales and marketing because they've got the infrastructure to be able to handle now the growth piece. I'm almost to the point, man, where I think that really needs to be flipped on its head. And if I had a choice, I would get the first thing they would do is go to sales training or get some type of sales system in place. The next thing they would do is that we'd get their money straight and get them pushing marketing in whatever capacity that is, either paid marketing, nebulous marketing, something, so that it just becomes a cash game. What can we do in this first 90 days to get you in a position to generate as much cash as you can generate consistently with what you've got? And the reason is because number one, when we're selling or our company is a certain size, mostly it's referrals and repeats. And so we're relying on the customer to bless us and bless us either with calling us when there's more work or bless us with getting our name in a conversation when one comes up. The problem with that is the way that we got these early customers is that we gave them a deal. Our prices were either low because we're the labor, so we don't have to charge a whole lot. We don't have a lot of overhead. So it's not like we got to charge a 50% GP. We give our friends and family a break so that we can get a couple jobs to get some reviews and some photos. And what I found out was, broke clients and cheap prices give you broke client referrals that you got to charge cheap prices. So if you can get your sales process locked down, what that means is now you can start selling at a higher margin. And that higher margin is going to give you that extra cash that you can start Remember when you and I first talked, right? Charging labor and stuff like that. And then it's like, well, there's marketing dollars, right? We need marketing dollars, bro. And you know what you did? You came back and you're like, bro, I got $1,000. And I'm like, bro, where did you get that? I just talked to you like 2 days ago. And you're like, I just added it to an invoice. What I mean? So what you did is you said, I need to go create more money from these jobs that I'm doing so that I have the opportunity to put it into the business to get more jobs and parlay. You parlayed the crap out of it. Right. But you had this also natural ability to go out and do what? Build community and make connection. So you already had that game coming in. And there's a lot of contractors that don't. They're trades guys. And they don't have that background like you or I did. And if you look at it, man, look at most of the successful companies out there. If you could just stack everybody up together and just say, hey, raise your hand or hit the button or the poll if you're a sales and marketing background, I would be interested to see how many more successful, high value, cash flow companies are coming out of guys with sales and marketing backgrounds. I bet you would be surprising. But if we get these trades guys in, I would get them right into sales training right off the rip, because now for the few leads you are getting, you're capitalizing on more than you have in the past. And when you are capitalizing on them, you're getting better margins than you have ever. And that money starts showing up. And now we can use that to hire a PM, to hire a laborer, to hire a sales guy, to push more money into marketing, to hire an admin, whatever. But then, of course, there's the question of, where do you get the funds to get into that sales training? Right. That's always a sticking point as well. So there's things you can do early on, of course, without having to go into a full-fledged, learn how to have a sales process to get that cooking, for sure.
Yeah, man. I even before my time with the construction industry, I was always the guy that I was the lead guy.
Mhm.
I was prospecting, and i- if you're in the casino, you already hooked. I don't, I just need to take down your name, your phone number, and have a conversation with you. That's how easy it was for
So you
me.
understood the lead game at scale,
Right.
right? You told me about this difference between looking at that database and looking at the clientele in the database, and where people kind of try to cut the cream off the top. And that's not the game, right? The game is mass acquisition, and how do you convert a majority of people for whatever type of spend and then continue to do it in perpetuity, right?
Yeah, it's called player development, right? So
Mhm.
so it's you grow people. So I think about it in the construction industry, it's still a lead game to a certain extent, but you're growing your sales guy, because your sales guy or your sales department, or me running 6 appointments a day stupidly for a year, is your sales department. Whatever that is, there's got to be somebody, or got to be out there every single day picking up revenue up the tree for
Mhm.
you.
Let's
That's
talk about the prospecting side of it, right? So you knew that if you got into that, there's two facets to that. Number one, it's work the database,
mm-hmm,
right? So all of us at some level have done client acquisition and lead generating, whether it's repeats and referrals, whatever. But we have, whether it's in a notebook somewhere or in our email or whatever, we have a list of people that we've given bids to, or at least had a conversation with. So one of the first things that guys do, they'll call me and they'll say, man, I'm in a desperate situation. I got no money for leads. My pipeline's drying up. I got no cash coming in. I'm on the, tipping point of whether I'm going to keep this thing going or not. My first advice is go into your database and start rehashing and retargeting. And that's why I created a script that we put in that inner circle on the Contractor Life Academy under the files, so that everybody can go in there and they can grab that script and start rehashing different pillars. One pillar is people you've already done work for.
Oh,
You know, hey, the season's getting ready to kick off. We're getting our production calendar lined up. We've got a majority of our year already planned out. Is there another project that you guys might be considering that we need to get you some information on and help you get completed? There's one funnel right there. The next funnel is the people that you've given a proposal to that have told you no, that you can go back and say, hey, this is Brian checking in. We had given you a proposal for this project back in November of last year. Were you able to get that project completed? If people say yes,
mhm.
perfect. Glad that you were able to find somebody to help you with that. What other projects do you have coming up that we might be able to get you a competitive bid or some other information on? The other one, if they say no, or yes, no, we didn't get the project completed. Perfect. You know, we're getting our schedule lined up for this year. I think we might have an opportunity to help the overall investment on that project because we've got a clean marketing budget. We might be able to help you out a little bit. Would you be interested in having a conversation? The other pillar is going to be people that ghosted you just flat out. There's some of those as well. So, you know, you can target that as well and send a message out and just say, hey, we happen to give you a proposal back in this. We didn't hear anything back. Just checking in to make sure you got that project completed. If not, we'd love to talk about how we can get you into our calendar for this year. I guarantee you, I have never not had somebody go through that process if they just stayed with it consistently that didn't stand up 5-figure projects in the next month. It's never not happened. So, you know, it's just a matter of being consistent with it and being dedicated to it. And what I tell people is when I call them back in a week or I talk to them again in 2 weeks, then I ask them, did you actually do this? Did you follow through with it? And then you know, you've heard it too. Well,
Well,
I mean,
I mean, like they
boop.
didn't really like me, you know.
But here's the thing. What I tell them is if you're not willing to do at least that, then you don't care enough, bro. Go get a job.
Facts.
You don't care enough.
That's facts. That's
Go get a
facts.
job.
That's
Because if you
facts.
can't simply just do that of people you've already established a conversation with that already believed enough in your brand and who you were that they were interested in at least exploring an opportunity with you to be partners and getting their problem solved, and you're not willing to at least try to revive that simple conversation, then I know you're not going to go knock doors, homie. I know you're not going to get into the phone book and you're going to call for, you know, dial for dollars. I know you ain't going to grind hard. So now what? But those are some simple things you can do. I started my company knocking doors. I knocked a door, bink, bink, introduced myself. And by the end of that day, I'd knocked myself into an appointment and had, gosh, I don't know, $20,000 sale. And then the first thing I did as soon as I got that check and I cashed it, that deposit, is I hired a door knocker. And then I hired somebody to take the leads. And then I hired somebody to manage the projects. And I kept going. And in that first 3 months, I wasn't even running appointments anymore by the end of that. But the idea is that we had generated $10 million in sales from door knocking, shows and events, and having a call center before I spent my first $2,000 a month on anything internet based, maybe.
Think
So
of
that's all just straight hustle, homie. That's
yeah,
knocking on doors, making phone calls, and showing up at home shows.
I mean, you know, those are I think that if you're struggling with lead, that's is the least you can do. Like you got at least go do that. Right.
Mhm.
But if you flood with lead, whatever, you should still have some automation that build out on the back end that does
If you
that.
don't, then what you do is you put all of your chips uh on the table with one. It's why some guys play multiple hands, you know, playing blackjack. They're just getting ripped on the single hand and they flip it to a double hand just to turn the cards over. You know, just to put something else out there that's going to be able to buffer kind of this tough spot that they're in.
Yeah.
The other one is that some people have to realize, and I think we forget, agencies are full of people as well.
It's
So like my
bullshit.
dad used to say when he was in the business, he'd say, "Man, I love the home improvement business if there wasn't so many people involved." Right? because that's what the challenge comes from. You said that earlier in the conversation. So we bolt onto these agencies that are helping us with our marketing, and they do well and not so well. But remember, they're owners too. They're people too. They're trying to grow and scale their business. They're working through personnel challenges. They've got their own crap, and all of a sudden, at some level, it may impact us.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that. If I have a good relationship, you talked about it earlier. If I have a good relational equity with that agency, I'm willing to stick it out and tough it out with them. However, I also need to make sure I've got something off to the side that's putting me in a position that not all my chips are
Mm.
all out on one hand.
Woo.
You know?
Ooh. Woo. That says if that is not a training in business continuity, I don't know what
Mhm.
is. You
I
know.
like the profit first model, man, because I tell people if you put that, if you always are carving off a little cheese off the top and putting it into a marketing account, and if you're always taking that deposit and putting it into a material and labor account, you cannot go out of business because you'll always be able to generate an opportunity and you'll always be able to generate a job. You'll always be able to buy the material. You'll always be able to pay the labor. So that way you can always be sure to collect another check. Now, I want to preface myself. I said you can never go out of business. That's not true. There's a lot of guys that screw up a lot of crap, right? But you really put you in a position, like you said, for that continuity piece, right? If you always have a way to generate a nebulous lead outside of an agency doing it for you, right? If you can go knock a door, for crying out loud, you can get an opportunity, but you have to be able to sell it.
Right.
That's the difference.
Right. And man, one of the interesting thing is that I found in construction business owner is nobody want to educate in the thing that they're bad at, in the thing that is gonna freedom from depending on the other people to feed them. And what I mean by that
Yeah.
is I'm gonna put this in the simplest term that anybody can understand. Uh, if you are solely depending on an agency to generate lead, they're feeding you. In a sense, I mean, you pay them money, but they know their leverage. They know their leverage, so they gonna, hey, here's a carrot. Keep coming, baby. Just another 1,000 a month for ad management, about two more thousand a month. But
Mhm.
the good stuff's right here, bro. You know, but me, you cannot hold that leverage over me. Oh, your shit ain't working. I'll just run my own ad. Your SEO ain't working. I'll just do my own SEO. Yeah. How about I just go in my database and see what I can come up with? How about I just go knock doors? How about I just fire you and go hire another agency
Mhm.
because I know how to feed myself. So if
That's it, bro, right there. That's the juice, because the biggest challenge people have when an agency relationship isn't going well, or when they're not fulfilling the expectation they had set, there's a lot of conversation behind that, but it's hard to dump the agency.
yeah,
You can't say, you know what, I don't think this is working out. I appreciate it, but I need to find another partnership. You don't have the choice to just shut it down because you have no other lead sources. So there's fear associated, and sometimes they'll instill that fear. But the reality is, like, you need to have an agency lined up months ahead of time and then start doing these kind of front end things so that you can at least have this most seamless transition, and you're still 3 months out. So now when you think about just that, and then the other question is, what if they don't work out? What if that's not what I expected? What if? Maybe I just need to stick with where I'm at. And
yeah,
like you said, when you have at least lead sources that are going to be able to cover your overhead, I have enough leads coming in from these other sources that my guys are going to go out and sell them, and I'm going to produce them. And I may not be crushing it. Maybe I'm even actually a little bit behind, but it's negligible or manageable. And that'll give me the freedom to be really choosy this next time around. I'm in no rush.
Hmm.
I can take
Hmm.
all the time in the world. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true, man. It's a good point.
But like I say, if learn sales, obviously you gotta convert people. But man, once you know marketing, like I don't give a shit who you are and what you do, but my price is my price.
Because you got another set of opportunities coming down.
You
If somebody
know,
doesn't like it, that's cool.
so
Right? It's no worries, right?
you're not like bow down to this big guy that's gonna sub work out for you, right? Because you don't need them. But when you need them, okay, 2,000 for a deck, 800 for a deck, okay, we'll do them.
Right. Exactly.
And that's
You're
how
handcuffed.
you stuck.
Bro,
So
you're handcuffed by the subs. You're handcuffed by the marketing agency, right?
Mhm.
You're handcuffed by your production team, your sales reps. I mean, that's the thing is you have to be able to put yourself in a position of freedom. We talk about freedom, freedom from your business and freedom financially and all of that. What about freedom within your business to make the decisions you need to make in the way that you need to make them without having to worry about what the friggin' tsunami wave is going to be when you decide to do it?
Yeah, it's like I think about it like this. I think about it like, okay, if you don't have option, that's when you make shit decision,
Mhm.
right? So have option for your sales guy. Instead of hiring one, hiring three. Have option for your sub crew instead of having one sub crew, have three. So I feel like when you inject competition, like the performance and I don't want to say the respect. I think more fear. The fear factor raise up, and I don't want anybody to fear me,
Yeah.
but I want them to respect their job and have a little fear in the job, right?
Yeah, I think
Because
that's
out,
healthy. It's finding that balance, right?
right,
Yeah.
right. So then they can go and deliver what I pay them to deliver, right? Because I work with a lot of subcontractor in the marketing world, in the sales world, in the production world, and if they know and they know that they are the only option for this specific type of task, then they're gonna play the leverage game on you. So what? Man, I love all the marketing agency I am with, but you should always educate yourself on what is being done, and not that say that your marketing agency is doing a bad job, but you can help them be better, get better result. It's just not like here $5,000, Eddie, go get me some lead. That's not how it works.
Yeah, there was a guy that I'm a friend of that we met a long time ago at a conference. And what he does now is he has a program where he educates business owners, home improvement business owners, on how to run meetings with marketing agencies. And I thought, man, I'm like, that's brilliant, dude.
Uh,
Like how to be the driver of the conversation. You know what I mean? And so what it made me think at first I thought, well, what do you mean? Like what do you how and then once I started digging into it, what I realized is business owners are relying on the marketing agency to drive the agenda of their lead generation program. They aren't coming to the agency with, this is my plan. This is what we're doing this month. This is the agenda. This is what we're pushing. As far as an example would be when, when we realized at one point, cash was getting tight, we were hiring people and adding just a bunch of infrastructure. And so when I looked at that, I thought, how do I move my cash position a little bit further along? And I realized that we could add a lot more contribution cash by pushing siding, for example. Right. And so coming to that agency conversation, it's like, hey, they had their list of all the different SEO and blogs and things they were going to run, and it was really more for our bathroom side of the business. So I had to go to them and say, hey, we're going to flip that up, and this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to run it, and what are you guys going to do on your end, and kind of what's your piece of that plan? And what I found is that people aren't coming to the conversation with that agenda in mind and intentionality. So I thought it was actually a really good idea, because you're the one running the show, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
You're the one
Mm-hmm.
calling the shots.
Mm-hmm.
Any of these guys are just vessels. And that's what I think is ultimately every piece, part, component of our business is just a little tool or a machine or a vessel that kind of helps the whole ecosystem kind of run,
Yeah.
you know?
That's
But
why.
we have to be in charge of what that looks like and how it's going to work.
That's why I'm very skeptical now when I give out referrals to agency
It's
because
tough.
uh because here's why. You don't know what I know. And if you do, it's fine. Let's have a conversation. And why you not getting lead? If you know what I know, you always have lead, right? But if you don't know what I know and you go in here and you don't do the thing that necessary for them to succeed in the role of your marketing agency, like for example, before and after pictures, you gotta get those to them. So your brand identity, your brand mission, vision, value, you gotta get it to them. I'm gonna, because I'm not married to my business right now. I love that growth, but at the same time, you're not willing to be, uh, flexible in the naming of your young company, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Rebrand action or something like that, right?
because I'm a big believer in the messaging in the first first stage is your name. What are your name sets? Tell people deck bros, we do fucking decks. That's it. But I don't mean to call people out on this episode, but if the shoe fits, listen to me. Your name got to tell people what you do.
Yeah.
Okay, if you specialize to weaponize, then make your name specialized too. So I think people are missing a big opportunity. I think that's one of the um big marketing ship that people can make. It
I mean, I
just
never liked there was a time where I didn't necessarily like the Contractor Life Academy name, right? And again, I'm not necessarily married to it. I might dip it tomorrow, who knows, right? Um, but somebody brought up something interesting to me. They said, so basically you teach contractors how to do contractor life. Yeah, that's what we do. We teach contractors, help contractors live their best contractor life, man. Super simple. And again, I'm not married to it, but it's interesting you say that because if we're building out some other pieces of the Contractor Life Academy, it's a lot of thoughtfulness that goes into the name and the brand and what that represents. So the first time somebody hears it, they're either going to want to be a part of it or not. They're either going
right.
to want to look more into it or they're not. And so it is vitally important. And I don't want to bang on agencies, of course, because they are a critical piece of our business. But there are pieces and parts where guys will complain and be frustrated, but they're not following through with some of that stuff. They're not collecting the reviews. They're not getting the before and after pictures in. They're not giving them any collateral from the jobs that they've done to be able to highlight some positive customer experiences. There's some responsibilities and roles. And another guy I was talking to hadn't talked. He was putting out $8,000 a month and had not had a conversation with his agency in 8 months. He hadn't talked to him, not a scintillion of a conversation, and then was wondering why there's mediocre results at best. Like, it's okay, but for his spend, when we started digging into the numbers, they weren't great. It was adequate. And like, you have to do your part. You have to, it's a relationship, it's a partnership. It's not, let me ship you some money and then you go do your thing and then give me the leads. You have to be invested at some level in that.
Yeah, and I think it's go a little bit deeper. Is most people don't like. I'm not saying most people, but I'm saying the majority of us in life in general. We have a fear of people judging us. We have
Oh,
a
for
fear
sure.
of putting ourselves out there. What are they gonna think of me? What if I own a construction business, but my face is never on there, because I don't feel comfortable in front of the camera, because I'm building my business to sell, so I don't really want to, man, you ain't selling shit, dude.
What was
You
that you
got
told the guy the other day? He was like, "Oh,
you
I want to get
you
what was
you,
it? The training, the oh gosh, what was it, man? Where the guy wanted to get some public speaking training.
yeah,
And it was about, because we're always encouraging people like
yeah, yeah,
get on Facebook, man, get your face on the video. People want
yeah,
to connect with someone, right?
yeah,
They want to have a personal connection with the business, and a logo and some before and after pictures ain't
and
gonna make that happen. And I think you said the best training you can get. And he's like, what's that? Is like turn your phone around and hit record.
hey, yeah, I'm gonna do a quick video right here. Oh. Hey, it's your boy Luan here. I'm here doing podcast with the one and only Brian Diamond in my little studio here. Get biz, do biz, get pay. You got to turn in this episode. I'm gonna skip him ahead just because he's Brian. So, but he will get published hopefully next week. Damn, 20 second. That's a promotion
That's
live.
it.
Right here.
That's
That's a
it.
promotion for my podcast right there. I got it done in live. Hey, who I am, and if people see you enough, you don't even tell them who you are. I don't need to tell people who I am anymore. I used to, but just tell people who you are, what you're here to do, and what can you do for people, and just post that shit, man.
And guess what,
Uh,
man? If they don't respond, they ain't your people. It's
and the
okay.
the thing is, if you don't want to do that anymore. Wow, your sales guy can do it.
Hmm.
Wow, your PM can do it. Wow, somebody else can do it that, love playing on their phone or what the fuck ever. But
Yeah.
the missing P is the personal branding in business, I think. Uh, I think if people can get this stuff right, it will help with their sale. It will help with their marketing. It will help with their recruiting. It will help with everything. But it has to be done deliberately, right? Like I audit a lot of people. It's like, dude, you post a picture of fucking Dak like 18 million times already. What else are you doing? Are you sending handwritten notes? Are you sending gifts? Are you showing up in the community? Are you donating shit? Like, okay, if you don't want to be on camera, that's fine, but do something offline. Do something offline that nobody can copy you. Do some of that. So just to make sure that you in the fucking neighborhood,
And
right?
again, like for context, we're talking like sub $3 million companies, sub $2 million companies. Because even both you and I, there's a part where we just run straight ads. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah,
there's enough money that we're just running straight ads, and that's what we do. And it's just business brand in general. But if you're smaller and you don't have the budget to be able to do that, there it's the personal connection people can have to a brand, especially in a small community. Will man, you can. People asked me this before. I had a conversation just recently about a guy that had a major, like, 9-figure company move into their market. And I told them, well, what they're going to do is they're going to push the before and after pictures of the decks, and they're going to push, some material specific kind of whatever. But they are not going to invest any time, effort, and energy into building relational equity with their community. They're not.
yeah,
They ain't interested in it. They ain't got the bandwidth for it. They don't have the skill set for it. They don't know how to do it. But that is how you can win. If we think, and I'm not a historian buff, but if you think about World War II and the French resistance, right? They were empowering local communities to be able to subvert some of the you know mechanisms of these big war machines. Like that's how they, you know what I mean? They brought communities together. They empowered them. And I think the same thing, that's how we always competed when I started doing this, was knocking on a door is the ability to stand in front of somebody and have a genuine conversation. And then I can craft my brand message to the avatar that I'm standing in front of instead of trying to find the right avatar. Does that make sense? If I'm
Mhm.
standing in front of a blue collar guy, I can talk blue collar. We can talk about blue collar stuff. If I'm standing in front of a C-suite kind of individual, I can have that conversation too. And I get to do that individually on one-offs to be able then to make that connection. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't, I don't, man, people don't spend enough time on that.
I
And it's
mean,
not hard. And
they
it's
on
it's
Facebook
inexpensive.
they're on Facebook 6 hour a
Yeah.
day. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm guilty. Yeah, the shit. That's how I
Hit the
know.
record button, man. You've been on there
Man,
for 6 hours. Hit the
man,
record and post.
man, I thought you were working on a pricing model.
Right.
Man, but
Yeah. You know what they're doing, man, is they're watching everybody's like super slick, highly produced. You know what I mean? And then they're just getting there's yeah, what like a imposter syndrome. Right. Oh, that's really good. Man, that's a video. I don't have videos like that. I've done it. I've looked at stuff and been like, you know what? I don't want to post anything until, or it's the same message. Why am I going to talk about something the same thing that these guys are talking about? Right. I do it myself. And I think, you know what the difference is? Number one, they're not me. And number two, they don't have my same audience. And I had somebody come to me at a conference and be like, oh, you and I are kind of in competition a little bit. And I said, oh, that's kind of funny you say that. And he said, why is that? I said, because I don't think we are. He said, why not? It's because you're not me. You know what I mean?
that
You ain't got
that's
my head. You ain't got my people. You ain't got my background. You ain't got my passion. You're no
that,
competition. Are you crazy? What are you talking
that's
about?
it. That's it. That's it. I could talk about this all day, but another thing that I think that's gonna help contract a lot is they just gotta learn how to do some math, man.
What are you talking about? What do you mean?
Just learn math. Do math every day.
The whole game's a no. It's all just a math game, to be honest with you. If you
Uh,
simply just
uh,
tracked the outcome of your effort from a mathematical standpoint, this is it. It's how many leads can I get in, that how many leads can I convert, to how many appointments can I go run, to how many can I sell, at what price point that gives me the GP I need. Can we produce the job at the GP I need at scale to be able to outpace my overhead, which leaves net profit that turns into cash that I can then parlay into doing it all over again at the next level.
I mean, most don't even know how to build a profitable job before selling to somebody.
Mm.
Uh, that's the business, guy. That is the business. Hey, budgeted costs. Here's how much I'm gonna charge you. And then after you do it, oops, this is how much it actually costs. Oh shit. But if you don't have to go through that cycle on every job,
What was that again? What did you say at the end when you get to your numbers? What
oh
do they say?
shit. Oh shit. So
Oh.
also, but let's say that's one job that maybe take a week, right? One job take a week, and you were supposed to make 9,000, but you only make five. But if you do, but if you do math after every job is done, you know that you only make five this job. So next job you'll be like, it's
And doing
gonna
that
run,
again.
it's gonna run different. But if you don't, if you tell me that my QuickBook does it for me, like my CRM does it for me, like, uh, then you don't know your number.
Yeah.
Then you have no fucking clue. And
There's
if
a
you
challenge, man. There's just I don't yeah, you're on spot, man. You're right on par. You're 100% correct.
and
Learn how to build a profitable job.
and that is, if you can do that right, then the whole thing will work out in itself. But you have to do a job per job basis, right? Like you have to know, like that's why you can hear if you talk to Jazz, she's like, he's weird about collecting. I'm like, where the fuck is my money? Because I want to know how much I want to, because I want to know how much I'm making.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, like if you're producing and you're running out of cash, or you don't know where your money's at, or you're always chasing money, probably go back and job cost a little bit.
Yep.
Because what you're anticipating showing up is not showing up. Because remember, you're just getting a small check. You're getting what, 10% left over, 5% left over, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So you're not even correlating all the expenses and all the things that have already happened. And the reality is that 10% ain't even yours.
Yep.
That's not because your expenses have already outpaced the contribution cash that's come in. So that money's already spent, bro. That goes to the lease on the office or something.
You know, and this is thing is like this thing I noticed, and I got passionate about this because I'm trained as an accountant, even though sometimes I'm lazy and I don't do job costs for a whole quarter.
Drives me crazy.
But I would look at the receipt and I would know how much I'm paying the sub. I know I'm making money, right? But don't get into that situation where, like me, I know I could have make way more money if I
Mhm.
job cost every single job. So the reality is, a lot of people can talk about financial understanding, throwing out all this accounting, big word, gross profit, net profit, EBITDA. If you don't fucking post, we call it in the casino, we call post forma, pre forma, and post forma.
Pro
If
forma, yeah,
you
yeah.
don't
Dream Pro.
do the post forma or after job costing, you don't know shit about accounting or managerial accounting. You don't know not a lick of thing. You just hear some speaker talk about profits first, and you repeat what they say, but you actually have to dive into the
Mhm.
fucking numbers and look over the costs. Because once you start looking, what happened is I want to know more.
Yeah, it totally does get you into this deep dive, and
I,
it's interesting when we start jumping in with guys in our masterminds and on the one-on-one coaching and stuff, and they get a chance to actually dig in. You've seen it too, where guys are just like whoa. I mean, it opens up kind of this secret mode or something like that, this little beast mode of changing that mindset from a trades guy to a business owner, because now they get a glimpse of how that money moves within their business. And there's a couple guys, one guy was going out of business, he was starting to lay off people in April of last year, and we started digging into the numbers, like why you're building jobs, but you're running out of cash, and we're getting into a tight spot. You're thinking about laying people off. What's the problem? It's not a lead acquisition problem. It's not a production problem. You're selling jobs. But once we got him into the numbers and understanding how important that is, at the end of 2023, he had produced $2.4 million, had a 20% net profit, opened an office, bought a truck, bought a trailer, hired a PM, hired a designer, right? Like that was one of the little components it took, is to just get him mindful of the idea, like this business is a vessel to produce cash.
right.
You can talk about your trade skill all you want. You can talk about how you're a master at this or a master at that. You can talk about your 20 years of experience. You can talk about all of those things. But at the end of the day, if this machine does not produce cash and a lot of it at the end of the year for you, you need to get a job or you need to find a different machine. Got to build some. I don't care if it's a cupcake shop. I don't care. It has to produce cash. And that is a numbers thing. So that's why you've heard me before. I can dig way deep into the numbers, gloss people's eyes over, but at
Okay.
the end of the day, that's how critical it is.
Okay.
I've seen you. We've done it before,
Yeah,
right?
so I mean, if you job cost, you can categorize it like, is it cedar, shit composite, good composite, and you can segment your product out, and
Mhm.
or you can segment people out. You can segment it by geographically. Am I making more money in West O or East O, whatever? There's so many things that if if I really want to, I can, but like not we're not big enough to get into that granular details, you know.
Yeah.
Uh
Well, it's simple.
uh
If I got a job and I know that I can sell it for 20
yeah.
grand, and when I sell it, I make $4,000, and I need 20 to cover my overhead. I know I need produce 5 jobs.
Yeah. So
Very
I think
simple, right?
our burn rate is 3,200 a job. So that's the overhead. So I know that to hit our net profit, we need to make 8 grand a job.
And
Net
the charge,
net.
yeah. Yep. That's
So
super solid.
so that's the direction to my production team. Don't fucking lose money. I'm coming after you.
I used to tell guys they'd like, overrun on the job. And then they'd like a subber, for example, would say, they come back, oh, it took us 2 extra days and we need X amount of money. Or with time we had in-house guys for a little bit. And it's a 4-day job and it'd be 5 or 6 days. And so I told him one of the guys came in and I said, hey man, I said, I got that money for you. You just need to go to the house and get it from Katie. And they're like, what? And I said, yeah, just go to the house and get it from just say, hey, I'm sorry, but we ran an extra 2 days over a job that we did over at your husband's company. And it's going to cost us, we need like 2,500 bucks. And so could you just write us a check maybe and get that? I'm like, bro, that'll be the last time you run over on a job. I'll guarantee you that right now. But that's what it is, right? Isn't it? It's literally taking that money out of the profits of the company that end up going back to our families. So why wouldn't you do that? I'm not bringing that money back to mama. I'm giving it to them for a 4-day job that took them 6 days. So if I'm not, and what if I had to go get that check? Hey baby, can you write me a check real quick? I got to pay these guys because they took 2 days longer than we anticipated. But that's my, I'm supposed to be watching. I'm supposed to be paying attention to that stuff. I just didn't pay attention. Bro, that'll be the last time she opens that checkbook for me. I'll guarantee you that. Hey,
uh yeah, so man, we touched a lot of subject, but we didn't talk
did.
a lot about production. But I assume that everybody already know. I assume, okay? I assume that everybody already know how to do production. But if you have problem collecting, your shit sucks. I'm
AR
just
is the worst, man.
if if you have trouble collecting,
AR is the worst.
your product needs to be better. I'm talking in strictly what I've seen when I operate a construction company. If your product is not good, people will not pay. And I mean, there's some extreme cases, but that usually is the case.
Yeah. No,
So
I agree. I
so the
agree.
collection process, you can put in some contract fancy language in there, lean notice. But I think it start from how the fuck you close the job out.
Yeah. One of the things that was always interesting to me is why people aren't collecting checks on the day of completion. To be able to set the homeowner up that when that last nail's driven or that last roller brush goes on the wall, whatever it may be, that job's done. And we need to get paid for that. And people get concerned about it. They're like, well, there's punch lists and there's other things that have to be attended to. And there's walkarounds that we do and things like that. That's fine. But if that walkaround's complete, there's a check going in my hand. If that punch list is complete, there's a check going in my hand. And we typically use subcontractors and we're running $6 million sub-based, only 500 jobs a year, maybe. And all the subs collected our checks. And some people like it, some people don't, is what it is. It worked for us. We still got our reviews. We still had happy clients, whatever. We figured it out. But when they left that job, if the sub did not bring an instrument of payment with them, then that invoice didn't get set up for payment. Like that was a part of their completion, was they had completed the job to a level of specification that the homeowner was willing to give them the check for it once they did the walk around. Because that is the product. The sub is the giving me a product. It's a job that's done in a way that the homeowner, that we've met the specifications that we told the homeowner we would, and they've signed off on it and approved of the work and are willing to pay for it. And what happens then is, I remember when we were looking at a line of credit to be able to grow, we needed just a little cash as a backup, just a little buffer. And the guy, the banker asked us what our AR was or what our like outstanding invoices and such. Like, I don't have any. He's like, what are you talking about? Everybody has. I'm like, literally, we don't. Like, here's our reports right here. We got maybe like 2 jobs and they got done yesterday. And I think we just haven't got it from the sub yet to be able to record it. And so I just encourage guys, you absolutely can. We hear all the time, well, I can't do that in my market. I can't do that in my business. My clients would never go for that. They will if you set them up correctly. And that's just a construct of what you do and how you do business. And if they want to do business with you, then that's what they're going to do. So that's my take on the AR conversation.
You shouldn't ever have an AR, in my opinion. AR, I mean, you can't collect.
I've seen 90-day ARs,
Oh, hell no.
60-day ARs,
You know,
aging.
e even if your job got like multiple stages, maybe you need to pass the final. Write that shit in the contract. Payment due when final pass.
That's what we have. Yeah. 100%.
When
The other one is
final
when, go ahead.
when final pass, the money is mine. And
Oh yeah.
I say it in the sale process too. So it's not like it's a surprise
We
to
we want to charge. So if a homeowner doesn't give us the check, I think they have 48 hours, and then they have a 1.5% service fee on the remaining balance. And I believe it was a $45 late fee that they paid. And that was within 48 hours. And I believe if it went to 30 days, then it just went to lien. I think by the 3rd week, we were starting the lien process. We were getting the letters and the notifications out that we were getting ready to lien if we didn't get a check. And guys will ask, well, what if we're inserting windows and one of the windows is mismeasured and it's not good? What if, there's a piece or component of the project that didn't get executed? And in our agreement, what we talk about is majority complete. So if the job is majority complete, what we're going to do is collect the final check minus what the cost would be if we were going to complete that as a standalone project. If I was going to put 1 window or 2 windows in, what would be the cost of that? And that'll get deducted from the final and collected when we swing back around. If there's a cabinet door or something that didn't, that's fine. Then we'll have a dollar amount. And what the dollar amount is if we don't show up or
you get to
come
keep that
back, they'll
shit.
have enough money to hire somebody else to get it taken care of. The other thing is that what people are concerned about, or homeowners will say, well, what if you guys don't show up? Or literally, they're not giving them. I've seen people hold up $30,000 on a lever on a window. And the conversation is there anything from the reason that you hired us to the experience you've had while we've been working on your home to anything we've done this far that would suggest we wouldn't show back up? And then the homeowner will go, well, no. And then I just jump right in and say, okay, great. Well, I'll go ahead and collect that balance from you minus the $1,500. Right. And then I just turn around and go back to doing something or inspecting something or whatever the case. Right.
Yeah, that's what when there's things like that, that's what I do. I'm like, Bill, you holding 30,000 for a fucking $3,000 problem, or you holding 3,000 for a $300 problem.
Yeah.
Like I just told him shut up. I need to get paid, bro.
Yeah.
It's it be it depends to if people there's some people are gonna try to rob you, so that's when the lean
It's a real thing.
that's when lean happened. I didn't know that was a real thing until I started construction. Like there is legit motherfucker out there that they will
There's
hire.
people that will not give you $1,000 because they'll hold $1,000 back and literally just cut you a check for 1,000 less because they know it ain't gonna be worth your time to go chase them down in
Yep.
court for $1,000, bro.
Yep.
Crazy talk.
Yep. So there's bad actors out there,
There
right?
is.
Brian, if people want to be around you, how can they find you, man?
On the ecosystem, most of our stuff lives on Facebook. So you can go to Facebook and type in Contractor Life Academy, and our group will pop up. Our Facebook page, you can join the group where we have content that comes out on the regular. You can also check us out directly at the Academy www.contractorlifeacademy.com. You can DM me. And currently, we're bringing people into our online video series. We're opening up masterminds so we can accommodate more people. We've got coaches like myself, like you, and some other guys that you can come in and be a part of just that accelerated kind of growth. And that's what we have. We teach one call close sales training. We help people create lifestyle businesses and legacy wealth through systems and processes and whatever they need to be able to accomplish that. We can accommodate them. So excited to see more businesses show up and help more guys accomplish that.
Well, guys, I'm this is plug hour, so I'm gonna plug myself in here too. I do run a mastermind in there, but my style is like it's very different. I'm not gonna baby you. Either you do it and you get out, because this the mastermind I run is for beginners, and at that point you just need to uh to go in and get the right information and execute. It's really it's not that hard. So if you like what you hear today, go sign up and I will be there. I don't do any one-on-one though, because I would have to charge like 10 grand. So unless you want
Man,
to,
I could only imagine what that would look like. That'd be I'd love to sit on a couple of those. But that's why I like about the way that you're leading the Essentials Mastermind. Is it's really what's needed is this mindset of, if you're gonna come, you're either gonna do it or don't, man. You're either gonna be a business owner or you're gonna be a trades guy that has a job. So make the change, and there's like a level of accountability there. It's a no BS kind of approach to doing it. Because again, we've talked about it. It's really comes down to who is the owner and what are they about? Do they have grit and tenacity and stick to itiveness, or don't they? But that's one thing I like is, I'm a get in the weeds, detail oriented, micro kind of evolution into business building. And you keep it pretty straightforward. You know how to take whatever I talk about and keep it simple. That's a superpower that you have. And it's either going to do it or you don't, bro. Here's what you need to do. Get biz, do biz, get paid.
that's it, man. That's a whole concept of keeping it simple, right? Because I've tried to scale complex stuff. People just like have a deer in headlight. You say what? What?
Yeah.
So you gotta do this, complete these checklists, and do what?
Right.
I'm like,
That's me,
okay.
bro. I'm all about the checklist, man. What are you talking about? I love myself a good checklist.
I'm like, you project manager, you manage the project. That's your job. Okay. And then here's some tools to help you out. But I don't know if I will ever be a complex guy. I'm not built that way, in a sense. Like I could take really complex concept and distill it down to like job costing, money in, money out. How much are you making this job? That's it. That's accounting. Welcome to math.
I think
You
that's a
learn
good thing,
this.
man, about there's different levels, right? Is that there's the, get biz, do biz, get paid concept of it. And then there's a point where if you want to dig into the details
We
and you want to
can.
break your job costing out by sub trade and by product category and all of these different things, we have the capacity and ability and the knowledge to be able to do that. But at the end of the day, we just got to keep it simple. The business has you got to get paid and you got to create cash, man. And if you're not, probably need some help. That's the biggest challenge. Y'all got to just get a path. Have somebody help create a path for you, and then keep it simple, and just give you a little nudge and a little guidance. And that's what I like about the mastermind is, you guys don't play around. Let's go get it. Let's
May-
make it happen.
Maybe I need to go get some speaking lesson on how to speak fancy. Like how
Hey man, no, listen, nobody can deny. And you talked about it earlier. Somebody said, what's your secrets? People ask me, what's Lon's secret sauce? What's the deal? How did he do it? And I said, here's something you got to realize right off the rip. You ain't Lon. You ain't Lon. You're just not Lon. You're not him. And so you can call and you can talk about, you can do whatever, but you're just not that dude, because there's a class of guys that operate a certain way. and he's in that class. But if you want to mimic what he's done or want to take something away, don't overcomplicate it. Right? Action over fear. It's another one. Right?
Yeah.
The guy makes a decision to do something and he does it, he figures it out later. Once just to get your mind onto something, follow through and get it done. Right? These are just some general concepts that I think you teach in that mastermind. And I think it's making a big difference for people, man. So I personally want to tell you I appreciate you as a coach and as a friend, because you're making
Thanks,
a big
man.
difference in something that I'm passionate about, which is the CLA, and I'm glad to have you as a part of it, bro. So
Let's go take some name and burn some shit down, bro.
that's it,
All right,
bro.
we out. COA out.
You know I'm a hustler, hustler. You know I'm a hustler, hustler.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in. If you find this episode helpful or if it changed your life in a positive way in any manner, please share with another friend, tell another friend about this podcast, or even contact me if you're a construction business owner that have a great story to tell. Please do contact me. Again, thank you. Until next time.
I see 'em on the gram while they flexing rubber bands. I'm working on my foreign exchanges.